Is your inner dialogue helping or hurting you in your business? Today, I'm going to share with you 5 different strategies that I used in order to change my inner dialogue so that I could actually open the doors to success. I'm Amy Walker and welcome to my channel. This video is actually an excerpt from a training that I did in one of our recent online summits that I just really felt like I wanted to share with all of you on this channel. Normally, we're covering a lot of business strategies. Today, I want to cover the mindset strategies that will really help you be able to write a better inner dialogue, create a foundation for success, and help you finally have that breakthrough. This morning, my son came in and he said, "Hey, Mom, you want to do me a favor?" And it's before school. So we as parents, we know what that looks like, right? He needs money. And I said, "I don't think I have any cash. Can you go ask your dad?" And then I heard him go downstairs and ask his dad. And his dad was like, "I'm out of cash," probably because he just gave it to another kid, right? We know how that goes as parents. And he said, go dig for the quarters. And it triggered this memory. And the memory is about 11, 12 years ago, we were struggling as entrepreneurs, probably 12 years ago. We were struggling as entrepreneurs. I had not ever broken through the 6-figure mark. And I had just switched businesses because I felt called to go in a new direction, but the new direction hadn't taken off yet. And all around me is evidence that I am failing as an entrepreneur. Our checking account was overdrawn. I didn't have deals and clients coming in. I was so terrified that I was not going to be able to make this work. And to that point, I had been an entrepreneur for already 10 years. And up to that point, I always was on the verge, but never over the cusp of success. I would have moments where it would start to look good, and then we would fall back, everything would fall apart again. And I felt like I was constantly picking myself up and trying to put pieces together. And in this moment, I was newly pregnant, which is why I now remember it was 12 years ago. I have to do the pregnancy math. But I was just had found out that I was pregnant, and I was in one of those moments where I was like ravenously hungry. I didn't have any food in the car. I knew my checking account was overdrawn, and I was rifling through the change box, that little console in your car where you just throw change in there. I was rifling through and I found $1.06. And I went through the Wendy's drive-through and I gave the lady my money to buy a junior bacon cheeseburger. That was my healthy, nutritious meal that I was filling my body with and feeding my pregnant baby. And well, the baby wasn't pregnant. I was pregnant with the baby, but that was my nutrition for the day. And in the past, this would have been my inner dialogue. My inner dialogue would have been things along the lines of, "Why can't you get this together? You've been at this for so long. Everyone else is doing it. Why can't you? I don't know why you can't just work harder. I don't know why you can't just figure this out. If you would just be more disciplined, if you would just get it together, if you would just try harder." So that day, I changed my inner dialogue. And I remember this distinctly because this was a turning point for me in my business. That day, I remember giving the lady my $1.06 for my junior bacon cheeseburger. And the inner dialogue was, "Thank you, Heavenly Father, for making sure that I always have food. Thank you, money, for showing up for me and supporting me. Come back again soon. Bring your friends. I'll be happy to receive you. Thank you, Amy, for doing the hard thing. Thank you for pushing through. Thank you for stretching. Thank you for growing. Thank you for being uncomfortable. And you know what? You're going to figure this out. You're going to get it. I trust you. I believe in you. And maybe we haven't arrived yet, but we will." And I remember that was like, I mean, yes, I was pregnant and probably early hormonal emotions, but I remember just like tearing up in the Wendy's drive-through. Like, it was a moment for me. It was a moment for me. A year after that, I had broke 6 figures for the first time. About 10 years, maybe 12, I'd have to do the math, but about maybe 10 to 12 years after that, I had broke through $100,000 in a month. I had my first 100K month. And that mindset reframe lays the foundation for the business changes that we need to make. Now, I don't consider myself a mindset coach. I believe that mindset is a really important part of the puzzle, but in reality, I'm a business strategist. I work with people on their organic marketing and on their sales systems and strategies. But today, as we kick off this session, this morning when I was meditating and I was thinking about all of you, and I was like, what can we do to really set today up for massive success for all of our attendees? Mindset is what came to mind, and specifically that we need to change the inner monologue. Let's make a shift. The first thing that we have to identify is where your inner monologue has been at. So I want you to just take a minute, get a little bit quiet within yourself, and backtrack your thoughts and write them down, okay? Take some notes here, write them down. What doubts have been coming up for you and stopping you from achieving what you want to achieve? What about self-criticism? Where are you being really hard on yourself? Where are you blaming yourself? Where are you asking of yourself what you would never ask of another human being, and then disappointed when you can't give it? What are the stories that you have bought that you believe to be true that keep you from growing your business? Is it, I'm too busy with the kids, I just can't work consistently? Is it, every time I sit down to work, I get disrupted? Is it, I can't afford to hire help? Is it, I know I need a coach, but I can't afford to hire a coach? Is it, I'm just not a salesperson? Is it, marketing doesn't work for me? What are the stories that you have sold yourself, you have bought subscriptions to, that are actually costing you success? I want to suggest 5 different shifts that we can make in order to change our inner dialogue and set it up for success. Because what you program your mind with, it creates the foundation whereby all of your strategies click into place. If I was building a home and I was building a home on like top of a trash dump that had been filled over with sand, and then I'm trying to build a foundation, it doesn't matter how good the blueprints are. It doesn't matter how good the materials are. It's going to struggle and it's going to sink. So I'm going to give you 5 shifts that I made that made a huge impact in my ability to actually take the ideas and make them work. Because I want to be really clear on this. I wasn't struggling because I was lazy. I was working. Okay, so my first one is judgment. Where are you judging others, and where are you judging yourself harshly? Because whenever I am judging others harshly, what I'm really doing is I'm showing myself where I feel like I'm lacking. And then I want you to look at the areas where you're judging yourself. Where are you being hypercritical? Number 2 is around fear. There is this idea that we need to be fear-free in order to be successful, and that if we can't eradicate fear out of our lives, that we can't be successful. And it is completely untrue. So what is one fear-based dialogue that's running through your head right now? So my inner dialogue is, thank you, fear, for warning me. I see you. You're welcome to sit in the back seat. You can hang out there as long as you need to. But you've served your purpose of giving me awareness. And now I'm just going to continue to drive with peace and focus and clarity, and we'll figure this out. We're smart. We're capable. We have a great team who cares and loves for our clients. The next one is can't versus can. So I want you to think through all of the things that you've been telling yourself that you can't do, but that you want to do. So this might look like, I can't hire a CMO because I can't afford them, but man, I'd love to have one. I can't run Facebook ads because I don't have a budget for it, but gosh, I know if I did, I could. Okay. I can't travel because I have too many kids at home, but there's so many, but I want to be speaking more. Okay. Can't versus can. What are all the things that your inner dialogue has been telling you that you can't do? And now I want you to pause and I want you to ask yourself the question, what can I do? Anytime you see yourself going down the trail of can't, you need to stop it and you say, okay, what can I do? With the circumstances that I have, what can I do? It will change everything. All right, number 4, I want you to look for your expensive stories. I have a mantra and I teach this to all of my clients, and the mantra is that stories are expensive and you can't afford to buy them. This comes up a lot in sales because during sales, people will tell you their stories for why they can't have what they tell you that they want. At the beginning of a sales call, people tell you what they want. At the end of the sales call, they start telling you the buying objections, which is basically their story for why they can't have it. That story has nothing to do with you, has nothing to do with your product, has nothing to do with your service. So we want to recognize the stories in other people, but we also want to recognize the stories that we have inside of ourselves. So what are the stories that you have been telling yourself? I'll tell you a couple that I've uncovered over the years. One of them was that it didn't matter how much money I make, it's never enough. That's a story that started in childhood, you guys. Childhood, the experiences that I had growing up in my home. It didn't matter how much money came in the paycheck, it was never enough. So fast forward that strategy into being a business owner. How's that working for you? Not well. Not well. Another one that I had was that it was okay for me as a wife, as a mother, as a woman, as a Christian to work for my family to get by, but it wasn't okay for me to work to get ahead because motherhood is divine. Well, guess what? God has called me to this business. He has called me to entrepreneurship. So would he call me in to ask me to struggle and to be unsuccessful? No. That story is an old story. It does not work for me and my family and my situation. So I get to rewrite the story that I get to be an amazing wife, an amazing mother, an amazing Christian, an amazing woman, and I get to be an amazingly successful business owner. I get to write a new story. Another story that I had was that if I am not working with the clients, then the clients aren't getting what they need. How ego-driven is that, you guys? So what are your expensive stories and how do you want to rewrite them? Because here's the beauty. You're the writer. You're the writer. So if you don't like one story, find the story and write the end, and then start the new story and determine what you want it to be. Cancel all subscriptions to stories that you haven't intentionally created and fill your mind with the stories that fuel you, that feed you, that inspire you, that build belief, and that help you grow success. All right, the last one, number 5, is a principle that I call see, be, act. So all of you right now today, you have your A list in your life. This is where you are at. And if you look at your life right now and you catalog it and you look at where you live, how much money is in your bank account, who's on your team, how many leads you have coming in, what are your relationships like, how is your health, how's your self-care, everything in your list of your life, this is your A list. This is where you are at. Then you have this list of where you want to be. These are your goals. These are your dreams. These are the things that you're working towards. These are the things that you can see for yourself. The challenge is your A list is loud and noisy and demanding, right? How many of you woke up in the morning and already you had so many things that you wanted to do or that needed to be done? So many demands on your time. If you can relate to that, just type in number 1, okay? You woke up and before your feet even hit the ground, your day had demands upon it. Go ahead and type in number 1 if you can relate to that. Okay, Linda can relate. Anyone else? Okay, Melissa. All right, it's not just me. It's not just me. So Bridget's with me on this one. When we have where we're at and we look at where we want to be, which one gets the most energy? The A list. So we put the majority of our time and our effort and our genius and our brilliance and our resources into maintaining where we are at. And that is how most humans live. And what happens is the A list is so strong. It has like this magnetic pole. So we're over here trying to get to B. And what happens is A is too big and it's too strong and it starts pulling B and B closer and closer and closer. This is what settling looks like, you guys. How many of you ever had a really big goal and then you got going towards it and you were like, I don't really need that much. I could be happy with this. I don't really need that much. I could be happy with this. And before you realize it, you've settled for this life that is so far from the one that you dreamed of. You guys with me on this? So if this is making sense and you can relate, just give me like a wow. Let's get the wow emoji going on. When I first realized this, I was like, oh, wow. Okay, this is making sense. So, how do we shift this dynamic? It's with this principle called CB Act. So, what we do is we have our A list, then we have our B list. We know what these are. Okay. You have to create a C list. You've probably never even thought of your C list before. The C list is after, so A is where you're at, B is where you want to be. C is what can you see beyond that? What can you see beyond that? I want you to go into your mind and go into the space where you are envisioning everything that you have ever wanted, every goal, every dream, every ambition that you've had for yourself. When that is done, what do you see for yourself? What do you see that comes next? And then every morning and every night, I want you to envision the C list. Then I want you to envision the B list. Then I want you to decide how you're going to take action in the day. Because your C list, your vision for yourself, your B list, where you want to be, that is what should determine the actions that you take. If you only act for today, you will always feed and fuel where you're currently at, and you'll struggle to create that progression. So we're going to jump into strategy. We're going to jump into business. We're going to jump into training. And I want you to take all of the new information, but I want you to put it on top of more stable ground with a better inner dialogue and a better setup for success. Thanks so much for watching. If this video was helpful for you, I would love for you to subscribe and hit the bell notification, and come join us in our private Facebook community, Acquire, if you're looking for a community of like-minded entrepreneurs. And while you're at it, go check out the next video.